what's up, friend, and welcome to a new video. So before we get into it, I want to give you a little bit of a context clue about what's going on in the video and what we're talking about. And I also want to give you a content warning because we are going to get into some unofficial spoilers or leaks from Secrets of Strixhaven, the new magic set. So if you do not want to see any of that sort, and just want to watch these cards as they're meant to come out, please click off this video. But if you don't care about that and you want to see what the outrage is about on social media, we're going to be getting into this crazy card that got leaked that has Ancestral Recall printed on it. Now, Mark Rosewater did reveal on his blog that there's going to be a cycle within Secrets of Strixhaven that references alpha spells. And this is the one that references the blue spell, I guess, which is Ancestral Recall. But please do let me know in the comments what you think about this card, and also let me know what you think that the other cards will be within the other colors, the alpha spells. Like, I'm thinking maybe red gives us a lightning bolt, something like that. Be curious to hear your thoughts, and also whether or not you think that this card is standard playable. Is it like busted? Is it broken? Or is it just going to be a mythic that's going to disappear and nobody's ever going to play it? Now let's get into my reaction on stream. Thank you for clicking on this video, and I will see you in the next one. We have a little yap session to do because in case you missed it, there's some crazy shit. There's some crazy shit that came out. So apparently it was like a Marrow like always does these like blog posts about what to expect of like a new set or whatever. And basically like what Marrow had put in the blog post was that there's going to be a cycle of cards that are referencing iconic spells from Alpha. So that's when this little bitch circled through the internet right here. So this is leaks for Strixhaven. Emeritus of Ideation. It's a 5-mana 5/5 creature with flying in War 2. It enters prepared. That is like a new mechanic. And whenever this creature attacks, you may exile 8 cards from your graveyard. If you do, this creature becomes prepared. So I did find somebody that was like, you know, apparently had what it meant for a creature to be prepared, but that turned out to be speculation. Vivian, thank you for 130. That turned out to be speculation. So that isn't confirmed. Like, I don't think we know 100% exactly what preparing is, but people are expecting that preparation works in a way that if you cast the spell, which is in this case Ancestral fucking Recall, that like you have to have this creature be prepared, and then once it's prepared, you can cast Ancestral Recall. After you cast Ancestral Recall, the creature like unprepares for you to eventually prepare it again on a later turn, which in this case, you have to exile 8 cards from your graveyard, so you kind of have like a treasure cruise type effect that you can prepare the creature again and cast it again. It's kind of like what it implies, right? Unless there's like other ways to unprepare or prepare creatures, like maybe there are like spells or something that are like, say, like prepare this creature, or like I would even wonder if there's spells that allow you to cast prepared spells without having a creature on the battlefield. Like, what if there's like a spell that allows you to do it from hand or something? Kind of like in D&D where you can prepare spells. Yeah. There's a leaked creature that prepares another creature. Yeah, I imagine they're like dabbling with such effects too. Like, you know, ETBs from other creatures that do stuff, or anything of that sort. But yeah, we got Ancestral Recall. Everybody was demoted to Sparky. Right. I did hear something like that in the Discord. Anyway, this thing's got Ancestral Recall on it, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, and like I said, also, like there's 2 crazy things about this is that A, this creature has Ancestral Recall on it, literally. And B, the fact that if preparation works as if it's implied on this card, Ancestral Recall is almost like an activated ability, right? Because it's something that you can use over and over and over. Like, initially when I saw this card, I was like, oh, okay. It's almost like an adventure style where you cast the Ancestral Recall and then it's gone, right? Like, you can't use it anymore, because that's how like adventures work too. Like, after you've used it once, that's it. You like, it's empty now. But obviously, like, the fact that these creatures like become unprepared and can like be prepared again implies that that's not true. It's more like an activated effect, you know, if anything. But obviously, like, these cards are, I feel like they're very fair. You know, like, this is a 5-mana 5/5 flyer at War 2, which, by the way, really good stats. Like, this will be competition to Riddler, I imagine. It ETBs as prepared, so like you can definitely abuse like blink effects with this thing, you know, like if you blink it, then it becomes prepared again. You can use the Ancestral Recall again, especially because that recall is at instant speed. But then obviously, like, the second you don't have like the capability of blinking, or you already used a recall, then like you have to basically like treasure cruise this thing. So I do think there's definitely, you know, these things are kind of like slow. And I would also assume that if WotC is printing Ancestral recalls, that they're not gonna like make cheap spells that are like 2 mana, you know, cast the effect, cast like the prepared spell of a card or something crazy like that. There's no way you could do that. But it also, like, Maro just say within the blog post that it's like, yeah, a cycle of like iconic spells from Alpha. So I did see people like speculate on like a demon teacher or something that would have like demonic tutor attached to it or whatever, which could be really cool. But yeah, it's definitely like one of the craziest things about this thing. Absolutely feels like for limited, I think, is where it is especially disgusting. You know, if you open up a card like this in limited, like this is 100,000% always going to be a limited bomb. I mean, that's for sure. I'm clutching my pearls for my limited fans. Come on, dog, thank you for 130. Definitely clutching my pearls for them. In standard, it's gonna be a little bit different, I guess. Obviously, like, Ramp is really important in standard. Riddler is still a really good card. I think in order for like a 5-drop to be playable in standard, it has to be like really good. And I do think that this card meets that threshold though, because a 5-mana 5/5 with flying in War 2 is already just good. Like, that is already impactful enough. And then of course the fact that you could literally cast an Ancestral Recall immediately because a creature enters prepared is interesting. Now, so like we don't really know exactly what the mechanic does. Like, somebody speculated on it, which I think is like misinformation being spread, as the fact, you know, as a fact, it was just somebody in like an article like saying that preparation is going to be, this creature becomes prepared. So if a creature is prepared, you may cast this prepared instant or sorcery. Timing rules apply. If you cast a spell this way, the creature becomes unprepared as the spell resolves. That is just speculation on how the mechanic works. But I would definitely assume that there's got to be a way for like prepared creatures to be unprepared after they've cast their spells, because else how are you going to prepare? Like, the re-preparing wouldn't be relevant, right? Like, this entire thing of the card would just completely fall off. So there's got to be something there that the creatures find a way to like unprepare themselves. Unless, of course, like unpreparing comes attached to, you know, creatures. Like, maybe there's a creature that says like unprepared creature or whatever when it enters the battlefield, unprepared target creature, so that you can like prepare creatures. But based on like power creep and how the play design works of certain cards nowadays, I would imagine that, you know, the creature unprepares automatically after you use one of those effects. There's a reminder text under this creature enters prepared that's got to be missing. Yeah, there's like other cards and stuff. Please let it unprepare on cast and not resolution. Yeah, you gotta find a... Yeah, it has to be like that as well, because people have said that if you like unprepare upon resolving, that obviously you can like stack it a bunch of times or whatever the hell. I don't know. So I'm assuming that they have done that like right. But yeah, there's definitely... I think it's definitely implied that they unprepared themselves. So this basically is like an engine that casts Ancestral recalls over and over for you, obviously, as long as you can find a way to prepare it and unprepare it and do all of that stuff. So it's kind of wild. But yeah, Ancestral Recall, and then obviously like you have these iconic alpha spells. So I would imagine black gets Demonic Tutor. I would imagine red gets Lightning Bolt. you know, maybe Lightning Bolt on a cool 3-drop or something would be cool. So yeah, you definitely have to look at more cards, of course, to see like exactly how it works. But, you know, implication is probably that... I mean, obviously, like, blinking and stuff with these things is nice as long as they like unprepared and all of that, so... Cannot attack unless it's prepared. So it's like, whenever this creature attacks, you may exile 8 cards. If you do, a creature becomes prepared again. But it has that ETB of being prepared also. So if you have 6 mana available, you can cast this card and then immediately slam Ancestral Recall. Because this one is an ETB of being prepared, but there's also other creatures that you have to like tap to prepare them or something. So like they're all different. And then obviously like the alpha spells that they have on there are also all going to be different. What white get? Yeah, maybe like swords or something. Like, I have no idea. But I think they're really cool. And at the end of the day, this is a fucking mythic bomb already, if anything, right? Like I said, a 5 mana, 5/5 flyer with War 2. in this meta, like that feels really reasonable. I mean, like there's so many ways to cast this card prior to turn 5. I mean, we literally have things like Momo. We have like Momo Springleaf Drum casts like this dude on turn 3, right? You have like obviously Badgermole Cubs and all of that stuff. I wonder, like, I'm assuming this card is going to be like direct competition to Riddler, even though Riddler is most likely, I don't know, like it depends on what's going to draw you more cards, right? Like how your deck eventually shapes out. But I would say a 5/5 with War 2 is definitely more valuable than Riddler being a 5/5 flyer without ward and a 4/6. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up. But Ancestral Recall is obviously a little nasty, but I do think that one of the greatest, the tricky things about this is obviously like that Treasure Cruise type effect that's attached to it. But this is definitely not a card that you have to run out on turn 5. Like, it's so much easier to get this thing out faster, of course. So, yeah. And obviously, like, I'm assuming there's other ways to, like, cheat with this thing as well, like blink effects or anything of that sort. Obviously, like, it's really make it go a little crazy. Yeah, I've had people say that if you can Agatha Cauldron the recall, like, I have no clue. The sad truth is that this looks like Adventure and Omens, you know, which is a bit of a shame because it gets a bit confusing if you look at the card like this and you don't really know what it is. Like, we don't know the details of these, like, borders, you know, or of this, like, part of the card, like, preparation spell, like, whatever the hell we calling it. But I do wish that it looked a little bit different, of course, because it's like, yeah, maybe like a new frame or anything else that you could have done with it. But feels like Insta should have, yeah, it's like, I don't, there's like something that should have happened to this. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if, like, within Strixhaven itself, if these cards are like, or if this like mechanic, you know, returns, that there are cards that'll be like, you know, 2 blue, cast a prepared spell, reveal a creature and cast a prepared spell or something. Like, that would be fucked up. But I could see it, like, deadass, I could see it for real. That would be a little bit crazy. It has to be its own spell, specifically to avoid things like Cauldron, I assume. Yeah, like, it can't be an activated ability, of course. Like, it cannot be, because then I would be busted with anything that, like, discounts activated abilities or, like, anything of the sort. Like, it has to be completely separate to that, I think. But it's gonna be interesting to see how they like, determine it, I guess. Anyway, another new card, Mana Sculpt. Which is like a mana drain, like 2.0 kind of situation. 3 mana instant, counter target spell. Control a wizard, add an amount of colorless equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell at the beginning of your next main phase. Kind of wild. Yeah. Mana drain at home, I guess. It's a very powerful card. Once again, if you have a bunch of these, like, discount effects, like, think about Grants or, like, Artist Talents or, like, anything of the sort, or even this in, like, Control. I mean, obviously you need to have a wizard in play in order for you to get the effect, but there's a lot of powerful wizzies, very powerful wizzies in the format, so. And in general, like, even if you don't have a wizzy, counter target spell for 3 mana is still not bad anyway, right? So, looks pretty busted as well. Isn't it, like, also, like, I was also thinking, like, Mana Sculpt in combination with, like, Furdock Core or something like that. Obviously, that's a little bit more cheesy, because then you have to play Furdock Core, but if there's more wizard payoff, like, one great way to do that is have that artifact in play, which also ramps you up, and then you have a wizzy, so you always get the benefit of this. But that depends on whether or not Strixhaven has more, like, wizard payoff or anything of the sort. But that is where my brain immediately went to. Yeah. You can play it in Annex Control. Yeah, exactly, like, Furdock Core would go kind of hard, I think, so that is something. Yeah, but there's a lot of, like, really good wizards in Standard anyways. Like, I mean, one of the wizzies that comes to mind is, like, the bird. The OTJ Slick Shot Show Off. Like, I can actually have a look here at all the wizzies that are Standard legal. There's a lot of really good ones, though, right? Like, I think wizard is, like, a really relevant creature type. I mean, Drake Hatcher, very playable. Sleep Curse Fairy would be some protection, even though nobody's gonna be playing that stuff. Thundertrap Trainer is kind of huge. Like, obviously, all the good wizzies are within those colors. Really good card. Glen Elendra Guardian, very playable as a wizzy. Back in the day, people used to play Kitsa. So that is Tishana as an otter, or as a wizard. Valley Floodcaller is a wizard. So there's definitely actually, like, even Twining Twins or something with that, like, ETB of, like, the blink could be really cool. That's a wizzy. So there's enough wizards within standard for good shit to happen. Like, Ashlizzlle, also a very important card. But only the backside of Ashlizzlle turns into a wizard. But Ashlizzlle does have, like, crazy synergy as well with the Ancestral Recall card and stuff. So there's definitely not a lack of wizzies within the format that are, like, playable. Like, it's not as if you have to play bad cards. Fucking Glarb is a wizzy. Glarb, Kefka. Yeah, so definitely no lack of, like, wizzies, if that's what you're looking for. I mean, yeah, like, in a bunch of the wasn't it like the entirety gimmick of, like, Rakdos within Final Fantasy that was all about wizards as well, like the wizzies. So could do some cool shit with that. More is that cards, Zaphai and the Tempest. This is a 7 mana 5/7. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's... Like, I'm thinking, what kind of disgusting shit can this card do? Obviously, there's ways to cheat it out so fast, right? Like, yeah, I was thinking, is it a Kona equivalent? Like, is this going to be better than Kona putting Omniscience on the battlefield? I don't know. Then again, Kona and Omniscience does require you to have Kona surviving and then Omniscience, like, getting shoved. This card is, like, I'm thinking, like, I don't know, maybe you get, like, Kavero or something. Yeah, it's kind of like Omniscience at home kind of vibe. Like, I don't necessarily think that it's better than Kona or Omniscience or anything that provides. So, I'm not too worried about this one. But it is kind of crazy. But Sorcery is a good target. Yeah, I don't think we have, like... I can't really think of massive things. Like, maybe the Jeskai Revelation or something like that you could work with. Future... Yeah, like... I think so too. Like, I think Kona Omniscience will always just beat the power of what this has to offer, personally, but it does look like Prismari is gonna have big mana spells again. Yeah, of course. Like, of course. And this was another leak. MTG, the Molten Core Maestro. 2 mana, 2/2 and Menace. Goblin Bard, whenever you cast. So there's just like the Izzet or Prismari mechanic, Opus. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, which I read that and I felt the urge to slam the fucking table. Like, can we please give Izzet something irrelevant rather than everything being a different take on prowess? Like, I'm so sick of that shit. It's all prowess every time. Anyway, more prowess whenever you cast an instant sorcery. I guess it's not, you know, non-creature or whatever, but put a 1/1 counter on this creature if 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell at an amount of red equal to this creature's power. So, yeah, it's kind of like a weird combination of exactly like prowess and firebending or whatever shoved on a thing, but it's also just like additional prowess payoff. Then again, I'm like, what is like the most busted thing that you can cast 5 or more mana spent to cast that spell? Like, what does that synergize with the most? Like, what expensive spells like that are you casting? That's kind of the only thing that saves me a little bit. Like, what expensive shit do you want to get out? 5 or more mana spent to cast it. Yeah, so this is like I'm not too worried about this card specifically, but like the Opus mechanic in general just is basically like another like prowess situation, which kind of sucks. Yeah, like Jeskai Revelation is what I can think of the most. Zephyr, thank you for 105. Yeah, it's also, like they say here, it's not restricted to a once per turn clause either, so oop. Not restricted to once a turn, so you could go crazy with this thing. It's probably gonna be some like Storm engine or whatever. Feels like something older formats will work more with than standard. Like, I can't think of anything that combos with it in standard immediately, but here we have another Opus card. Devastating Onslaught, copying it. Maybe? Yeah, maybe. This thing, Color Storm Stallion, 3 mana, 3/3, ward 1 and haste. It's an elemental horse. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. 5 mana was spent to cast that spell. Create a token that's a copy of this creature. So that's once again the Opus mechanic. They really love Is That Dang. Yeah, this is like, I feel like there's potential within these cards. Storm Splitter vibes. Yeah, a little. Token is a copy of this, but then again, it's like 5 more mana was spent to cast it. Like, how can we, you know, how it doesn't feel super busted or super breakable upon like first glance, at least. So, but yeah, I do need to have a lot of very expensive spells, which I can't really think of many like 5 mana plus spells in standard that are absolutely crazy. You fear this and Ashling's Command. Ashling's Command. Let me see. Ashling's Command. I do remember that being like a 5-drop spell or something. I have played with that before. Create a token as copies target elemental. Right. Target player draws 2 cards, deals 2 damage to each creature target player controls, creates 2 treasure tokens. A great way for you to get a lot of copies, I guess. Damn. Even like Ashling's Command could probably go crazy with this Molten Core dude. Kind of wild. Anyway, that's it for like the Strixhaven like leaks, I guess, which here we go again, leaks happening all the time. But yeah, the concept that we're gonna have to be dealing with alpha spells being slapped on the creatures is kind of wild. I'm a bit nervous. I'm a bit nervous about it. But yeah, we should speculate on which ones do we think they're gonna have. Like red, like I said, red has to be Lightning Bolt, surely. Black has to be Demonic Tutor, surely. Just like, what can they do for green and white is kind of the interesting. Giant Growth? Nah, Black could be Dark Ritual. I mean, that'd be crazy. Like, I don't know. Dark Ritual would be wild. Dark Ritual or Reanimate. Damn. Regrowth for green, maybe? Yeah, there's definitely some like cool shit possible. White could be swords. Yeah, I think white being swords would be cool as well. That would be pretty sick, but yeah, damn. I mean, I will say though, like I really do love the concept of this. Like I think it is really awesome to like throw back these alpha spells and, you know, put them in like a new shell attached to like creatures. I think that's a really interesting and cool mechanic for sure. Jamie, thank you for the 15. I think it's really cool. So I'm excited to play with them. And nervous to see what is happening with the with limited with these guys, but yeah. Whether or not they're gonna be busted. Like I think there's definitely a case where these cards are either completely unplayable or they're broken, though. Like I think this is definitely one of these examples where you have to play with the card and like see how it plays out. And then you can figure out like, okay, this is either just, you know, a worse Riddler or something, or does this busted as fuck? Like, I don't know. I kind of personally am leaning towards busted, but we'll see. I mean, the creature is definitely a lot more fair if you have, you know, if you have to like re-prepare it and you basically have to like treasure cruise it by exiling 8 cards. Like, it does feel like they have a lot of protection built in them. But I already think a 5 mana 5/5 flyer with ward 2 that spend 1 mana and get yourself an Ancestral Recall is already like busted anyway. Like, right? Like that is already good enough. Like, and then the fact that you could do it all over again if you meet the requirement, this seems like an upside anyway. I feel like it's already playable regardless of how you put it together. Yeah. So kind of crazy. And also just blink it. Yeah, like that's one of the more obvious things is just fucking blink it. And then you don't have to go through the treasure cruise like hoops, I guess. It's also just not a bad reanimate target. Yeah, I was thinking like if Cavero grabs this thing or whatever, like that's pretty fine as well. I think there's a lot, like I said, you get the Momo Springleaf Drum shenanigans, or, you know, Badgermal Cub ramping into this, or whatever other ways you have to take advantage of a 5-drop. But Yeah. I did see people say that, like, obviously I have heard people say that you can do things with like Soul Cauldron, and you can use what's the name of that, like, very expensive blue creature that has that ETB, or sorry, that has an activated ability where you tap and you draw 3. And then we even have Loot in the format still. Loot is also like a creature. Yeah, Arcanist. Loot is also a creature that you can shove under the cauldron, use blue, tap it, draw 3 cards. But, you know, like I said as well within the Twitter comments, like, obviously that requires another step, right? Like, that requires you to not only have Loot or Arcanist, but also have a cauldron, and then have, you know, a creature to target with, and then also, you know, no graveyard hate. And then I guess you can get Ancestral Recalls that way. Whereas this creature just does everything upon itself, right? So I don't think that the Cauldron arguments with Arcanist or Loot are, like, hold up about Ancestral Recalls. Like, I don't think at all that that is something that you can compare this to. Like, this thing obviously just operates on itself, which is pretty sick, so... Yeah, it's wild. It's wild that this is reality, but I do think it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see what the cycle looks like and what alpha spells we're casting, I guess. Prepared card. Yeah. Crazy stuff. But yeah, cool mechanic regardless. Okay. So I think that's kind of like it for the Strixhaven leaks, but certainly crazy. Certainly crazy. Time Walk, if Time Walk gets slapped on one of these creatures, I'm uninstalling for real. I mean, like, we don't know. They say it's a cycle, which I think implies 5 cards, right? Like, I don't think they would have more than 5. Like, I imagine it's just a mythic cycle of, like, all the... Yeah, exactly, like, the colors, so that we don't have to worry about Time Walk being slapped on one of these when we have Ancestral Recall already, so... They're working on slowing down the format. Well, listen, at the end of the day, this is a 5-drop that's worth casting. Like, mission accomplished, I guess. You gotta stay alive till turn 5. Well, obviously that's not expecting... You know, that's not without any ramp involved or anything. But like I said, I think we had this discussion yesterday where we were yapping about what Wizards could do to slow down the format. And it's printing good interaction, and it's printing bombs worth playing at like 5 or 6 or 7 mana. This is definitely a 5-drop worth playing, I fear. You know, like that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So that is one way you could slow it down. But we'll see what the rest looks like. The red one's gonna be ass. It's always the red one. I don't know. I have high hopes for the red one. I like would really imagine the red one being like slapped on like a 3-drop or something. Or I would imagine like maybe the red one you can prepare when the creature has dealt a specific amount of damage or something. Like my brain, my instinct is saying something like a 3-drop with like haste or something. Like a red 3-drop with haste at 3 power, and it prepares whenever the creature has dealt 3 damage to your opponent's face. And then for 1 red, you can cast a lightning bolt. Like, that's kind of how I would imagine it. But obviously, you don't give it trample or anything. Like, it's just a red 3-drop with haste. And then you have a pretty cool card that it's technically like a 6 power thing. I don't know. I think that'd be pretty cool. Streaming Nemesis too. Nah, not Nemesis. That'd be fucked. But something like that. And I have heard people say that like something very flavorful within Strixhaven would be a black demon like teacher that has demonic tutor as like the prepared spell, because obviously like yes, that would be a demonic tutor. I mean, it would be a bit cheesy, but it would make sense. If they do if they do dark ritual, I don't know how you would incorporate that, but I feel like then again, I would much rather see Dark Ritual than Demonic Tutor, to be honest, because I feel like we do have specific like tutor effects already, and it's like, you know, Dark Ritual would be a lot cooler, if anything. But yeah. We'll see. It's gonna be exciting, at least.